Welcome back everyone. Today we have a reaction video. I'm looking at things that you have tagged me in online or sent me or I have seen and talking about them. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robert Welsh. I'm a professional makeup artist of 21 years. Yeah, that's a long time. So I like to look at all aspects of the industry that I have been in for a very long time. And as I always like to say in these videos, creativity and individuality have no rules, but makeup has a theory, and that's what we look at in these videos. So if you want to tag me in anything, send me a reel in messages. Go ahead and follow me on my socials right here that are showing up on screen now. They are also linked down below in the description box for you. Okay, let's have a little look at this one. So this is, of course, from Rose, and I was tagged in this one like crazy.
This is why I always have a purple blush in my collection. Watch this. That gray eyeshadow is really pulling my foundation that I love. Very yellow. Fixed. Before, after, save this if your foundation's yellow.
Was that not just the most satisfying thing you've ever watched ever? Now people were kind of mind blown at this, and it is mind blowing. And some people were kind of questioning. They were like, how do we know that's real? How did we know you didn't cut the camera? Guys, it's color theory, it's science. This is literally how color works, right? So let's look at this color wheel. Her foundation was too yellow, so we have this yellow range right here. If you look across the color wheel and see what shades the yellow is across, it's that violet, it's those purples, it's that pinky purple, it's that bluey purple. So purple is going to neutralize that yellow. Much like when we're cancelling out redness, we use green. It's going to cancel that. That's how it works. I find it so fascinating with Rose's content. She does all these incredible color theory videos and people don't believe her, but I'm like, she'll mix a color and it will make her skin tone, or she'll do something and it will make a color. And I don't believe it's real, but then I'm like, how do you think foundations are made? How do you think color comes together and makes your foundation? The color where do you think the color comes from? It comes from those primary colors mixed with some secondary colors and black and white. That's how color is made. That's how color works. So it is fascinating. It's really, really cool to see it so well put into action like this, where she literally does a few of those dots, blends it in, and it literally disappears on her face because it's so accurate. It's really, really good.
I have found the mother of all freaking under eye hacks. If you're like me and you struggle with a dry under eye, especially when you wear makeup, you have got to keep watching. I've had this makeup on since 8 a.m. It is 5 p.m. and my under eye does not look dry and crusty.
It's beautiful eye makeup. Whatever's going on through the socket is stunning. Dry, crusty under eyes can lead to creasing off eye makeup. Concealer. That's usually the culprit, right? Of creasy under eyes. You want that perfect balance of moisture and that perfect balance of hydration without over hydrating or over moisturizing.
Looks really good. So keep watching, please.
I came across this creator and she did something I had never seen before. And I don't know who she is. I can't find her. I freaking wish that I could. But man, the tip that she gave was phenomenal. So what she did was she took her eye cream. I'm using this Cryo Recovery Eye Serum from Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm just going to put it under my eye. I am not going to rub it in. Just going to kind of smear it over where I have my problem, like through the day, right through here. Gets very dry and all of my texture and wrinkles start showing through. But this is what it looks like. It's still very thick. I'm going to let that sit. And while I do my brows and my eyeshadow, my skin is going to drink that up. And it is going to leave my freaking under eye so hydrated all day long. You can see this.
Okay. Yes, yes. You've probably seen me say this a few times on this channel, and you've probably seen my technique of, but if you're new here, you probably haven't, of figuring out how much skincare your skin needs before you apply your foundation, right? And one of my favorite things to do is apply your moisturizer like it's a face mask. So slather a little bit on and just let it sit for a while. What you're going to see then is the areas of your skin that are super dehydrated, or the areas that need a little bit more moisture, all that cream is going to be sucked up into the skin. The areas that perhaps are a little bit more oilier, don't need that excess moisture, the cream is going to kind of sit on top. And then you can apply more in those dry areas, perhaps take it from the area that has too much and apply to the dry area. But what that's doing is it's allowing your skin to interact with that skincare in a way that is beneficial for your makeup, right? So leaving an eye cream on under the eye like this and letting your skin kind of drink up what it needs slowly without kind of rubbing it all in is a really, really nice way to do this. Be careful of milia. You know, you don't want to do too much under the eyes there, and sometimes it can leave a stinging feeling under the eye, depending what you're using. But this is a really great way to do it. One product I really love to do this with is cleansing balms. So over the whole face. Before you do any makeup, before you do any skincare, do a cleansing balm on the whole face. Again, rub it in and then leave a little bit like it's a mask. Don't wipe it away. Just let it sit on the skin. You can wipe that away or use water to get rid of it, emulsify it, and then go on with your skincare like normal. It's a really great way to kind of give a little bit of slight plumpness to the skin, give a little bit of moisture and hydration in areas that perhaps need it, smooth out those drier areas that make texture in your skin. It's a great technique.
Sad, completely soaked in. That still has a little bit left, but now my under eye is prepped and ready for a day of wearing makeup where it will not look cracked or cakey. I will definitely take updates. So this is my under eye. Makeup is completely done.
Makeup's so beautiful.
No
so
creasing.
Beautiful.
I mean, I have like lines under my eyes, but there's no creasing.
Makeup, yeah.
Looks really hydrated. And I'm even using the back camera just so you can really see my under eye. And then we'll check in through the day. I'm telling you, this hack is life. And here is the update with no filter. I'm telling you, this hack is everything. It's 2:22. I did my makeup at like 8 a.m. You have to try it.
It's great. Love the way she does her makeup. That's so, so stunning. But yeah, skincare really is the be-all and end-all of your makeup, you know?
I am what is called a working makeup artist. That means that I work. I go on site, I bring my stuff, and I do makeup on site. I do not have time to make these perfectly curated videos like these other girls that are just cosplaying as makeup artists. I actually...
In 3/4 of a mile, turn right onto Woods Ream Drive.
I've got my GPS on. I don't have time to stop it for this video, okay? Working makeup artists, that's the difference. If you don't see us constantly posting, then we're probably a good makeup artist.
Okay, I have an opinion on this.
We probably do more faces than the girls that are just all the time in the phone. Just something to keep in mind when hiring your next artist.
Listen, I get where she's coming from, and I also don't get where she's coming from. I come from a period of time where social media didn't exist when I started doing makeup, right? I only started doing social media during lockdown properly. But I was working as a makeup artist all the way up to lockdown. I got very lucky that I went full-time on YouTube as we went into lockdown, right? Because who the fuck's makeup am I going to do during lockdown? I understand what she's saying. Social media was never a big part of my makeup artistry career. And I do think there's a difference between an influencer and a makeup artist. However, you do get those influencers who are professional makeup artists, like myself. They know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about. We've worked on many people of all ages, races, genders, different situations, fashion week, editorial, bridal, prom, your mum, you know, like we've done it all. So I get what she's saying, where it's this kind of like new age of makeup artistry. That's not what she's saying, no. That's what I'm going to say. Unfortunately, and I believe it's unfortunate, because a lot of makeup artists I know who are full-time working makeup artists, they don't do social media, have to make content, right? They have to make content because it's how the world is now. And I hate that for the makeup industry. I hate it. I hate that you can be judged by your following count as to whether or not you are a good or reliable or worth paying the money for makeup artists. I think it's stupid because they are incredible makeup artists that do absolutely incredible work. They're key makeup artists on fashion shows. They are constantly credited in up their editorials, but they don't have hundreds and thousands of followers on social media because it's a different world, right? It is a different world. And I haven't worked in editorials since being on social media, so I don't know if follower count comes into it, but I did hear that it does, unfortunately, sometimes. Bridal, prom makeup, and just doing like makeup in general for like, you know, people's appointments and salon work, stuff like that. Unfortunately, you may need to make content. It doesn't mean they're less of a makeup artist. It doesn't mean they're lesser than. They set up a camera, with their lights, and they record and they cut that down later on. It's not like they're cutting it and editing it and all this kind of stuff as you're doing makeup. You can sit your client in a chair, put a thing in front of them, do it with their permission. Or a lot of the time they've got a client in just so they can do social media. I'll do your makeup for free if I can use this as content for my social media or whatever. Do I think it's professional to turn up to someone's wedding as a makeup artist and be like, I'm going to film this whole thing without their permission? No. And even with their permission, I would say that your focus should be mainly on the bride and the makeup you're doing. But that's the world we live in now. It's very, very unfortunate. And it's not just in the makeup world, it's in every kind of creative niche. So when she said working makeup artist, it means she is getting paid to do makeup, right? You know, a lot of people may not consider me a working makeup artist, for example, because I don't do makeup like I used to every single day on clients. I do it on myself, but that's not a working makeup artist. I may do a makeup job like once every other month because I've done that life. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that anymore. I would, but only for certain people. That's how it works for me. But just because someone sets up their camera, people need to stop linking social media with, and this is something a lot of professional makeup artists do, right? In the industry. They think that just because you have social media or do social media, your knowledge or your ability of makeup is lesser than compared to theirs, because they, you know, see social media as all these people just giving out bad tips or saying they're a makeup artist when they're not, or they're doing makeup on themselves. So sometimes I can say something and someone will be like, I've been doing makeup for 5 years and this and this. It's like, okay, great. I've been doing it for 21 years. What are we doing? What is this? You know what I mean? Just because I'm on social media, it doesn't suddenly get rid of all my knowledge and all my experience. So to say that somebody, just because they're doing a video or recording their work, is lesser than compared to you is incorrect. Or saying that they're cosplaying as a makeup artist. Would I ever record my professional work? No, I wouldn't, because I also would be focusing on my client and I wouldn't really have time to do stuff. But also, that's just me. I've grown up. I was in that industry a long time ago where that wasn't the way to do it. People have learned to do it now where they film and they do their makeup, and that's fine. That's what they do. They still produce amazing quality makeup. So this is a little bit belittling. It's a little bit unnecessary, but I get where she's coming from. And perhaps she's been a makeup artist for a really long time, to a point where it's horrible to see the makeup industry change because of social media, and some people's experience be belittled because they aren't on social media or don't post as much on social media. I mean, there's professional makeup artists I know who are like, ugh, I guess I have to post on social media. And it's like, yeah, I guess you do. I don't know what else to say. You know what I mean? It's very, like, think about the people who are going to book makeup now. Where do you look things up? You look up a restaurant online. Perhaps you look up the hashtag on Instagram, the hashtag on TikTok, to see what it's like. So if somebody's going to hire you as a makeup artist, we don't have just our physical books anymore. They're probably going to come and find you online. Yeah, it's a difficult one, because although that was kind of rude, I kind of get what she's saying. Can I just also say that no social media post is worth you setting up your camera, pressing record and ranting to the camera while you are driving. There's clearly other cars around her. There's a school bus behind her. Maybe there's a school nearby. But please do not set up your phone just to make rants like this. Do it when you're at home and, you know, are doing something else, like cooking your food or something. Please don't make posts while you are driving. If someone's there with you and they're holding the camera, great. fine. But you have to stop recording. You have to set it up and all this kind of stuff. Come on now. Some things aren't that important or that interesting.
But if I were her, I would honestly be embarrassed. Pat McGrath, the iconic makeup artist, like I feel like she still has had so many viral moments, but they never were necessarily tied back to the brand. Like,
okay, I know this. They've actually messaged me. Pat McGrath has had viral moments, which is a very new phrasing in terms of social media, because she is iconic makeup artist. They're not viral moments. They are iconic moments in the makeup and editorial industry. She is an iconic person. Okay.
do you remember when they had that Mason Margiela runway show? And
Pat McGrath, they didn't. The brand didn't. This was Pat McGrath as a key artist. A key artist produces the look for the show, and then everyone else, all the artists backstage, recreate that, right? This isn't a Pat McGrath Labs, the brand moment. This is a Pat McGrath, Dame Pat McGrath, the makeup artist moment, okay? That's the editorial world. They're separate things. Pat McGrath wouldn't have gone into this thinking, what viral moment can I make that's going to go viral on TikTok, that's going to go viral on social media? No, this is her job. And it has been way before social media. That's not the first thing on her mind. The first thing on her mind is creating something artistic and amazing that everyone can recreate. The timings of how long it's going to take to do that look, how many models they have to do, the amount of products they have in terms of that mask they use. All these key little things that go into keying a show and producing a show and producing these looks, creating the looks beforehand, you know, the brand wouldn't have been on her mind.
all the models have this literal glass skin, but she didn't even have a product for it.
Why would she? And why does she have to? She is an iconic makeup artist. And what they're not thinking about in this is Pat McGrath herself is her own business. She is her own business. She is like a celebrity. She is a celebrity. So when you're getting Pat McGrath to key your show and do the makeup for it, she is making money. Money, right? She is her own business. Pat McGrath, Dame Pat McGrath is a business, the makeup artist. Pat McGrath Labs is a business, the makeup brand. So this wasn't about Pat McGrath business, the makeup brand. This is about Dame Pat McGrath, the makeup artist, and her business. This is a representation of her.
They actually made a product after the fact.
But if I were her, I would honestly be embarrassed. That is such a big, egregious miscommunication and missed opportunity. Like,
it's not a missed opportunity because it was never seen as an opportunity, right? And if you think about makeup and selling makeup, no one was going to buy this product. You know what I mean? They did release one, but they released it as a face mask, right? It's a face mask. Again, when you are in the editorial industry, if you are the key makeup artist for Mason Margiela's show, you are getting money. You are being paid very, very, very well. This was a separate thing altogether. And I think that connects between the editorial world and the going viral world. People need to realize they're two separate things. The world of online makeup, viral this, viral that, is separate from editorial. And I'm talking makeup artistry editorial, right? Yes, brands might use virality to make sales and stuff like that when they're just selling their product. But when Pat McGrath came up with this look for this show, the idea isn't to sell product. The product is the result of her makeup artistry, her passion, her knowledge, her experience. The product is what's walking down that runway. Because people are going to see that and think, oh, that's incredible. Perhaps Pat McGrath can key our next show, be the creative person who comes up with all the looks for our next show. That's her business. And I'm talking business as in an entity, a business, right? I get what they're trying to say in this podcast, but it's two separate worlds and it isn't something she would have had to think of or was thinking of.
if it were my brand, I'd be flipping out.
So this was for the Mason Margiela Artisanal 2024 collection. You can find like blog posts about it on Pat McGrath's website where they've used some of her products. Like, of course, it was an iconic look. There's a quote in Vogue from Pat McGrath. It says, "My phone has been on fire since the show. In my 35 plus years of beauty, I have never ever seen a reaction like this. And it has blown me away how people have had such an emotional connection to these looks. It's one of the great pleasures of my life to be able to inspire this way." In 35 years, she's been doing this. Nothing has ever blown up like this. Why would she think, oh, this is gonna happen? Let's have a product ready to go. You don't, because usually, though, again, I'm gonna say it, the editorial world and the TikTok world of virality don't mix. It just so happened that people who were interested in fashion and editorial recreated this look from seeing it from Pat McGrath. You know what I mean? So for this podcast or whatever it is, to say that they would be embarrassed if they were Pat McGrath for not releasing a product, Pat McGrath's artistry was the product. Her herself got paid. Don't worry, I'm sure she's not embarrassed about the amount she got paid. I did a whole video on the Pat McGrath going bankrupt situation, which now they've had investors in again. But the fact that they didn't release this face mask quick enough is not the reason why the brand went bankrupt or isn't doing well, or why they couldn't pay back investors, or why they couldn't pay back people, because they had to fill shelves in Sephora and places like that. No one is running to Sephora to buy a face mask that you leave on your face with makeup underneath. You know what I mean? That wouldn't have been a good decision to keep their company afloat in that period of time. I know that podcast clip annoyed a lot of people, and I'm sure if you watch it further, there would be a lot more context, but in the context they put it in, it's just genuinely incorrect. And, you know, there was money to be made, and Pat McGrath herself made it. They actually messaged me because I put a story up and I said, this is the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen anyone ever say. The lack of understanding of the editorial world versus the world of sales and online trends is so frustrating. And to say Pat McGrath should be embarrassed, and I linked their thing, to which they messaged me back, when a brand goes from 1 billion value to Chapter 11 bankruptcy in just a couple of years, again, whole video about it here, it's worthwhile to examine the missteps along the way. True. The brand owes vendors and staff hundreds and thousands of dollars. Yes, if we just left our post to go head up LV Beauty while the rest of the team and staff were left unpaid, we'd be embarrassed. And I did respond, and I responded, I'm very sure she didn't just leave her post. In my opinion, however, and I made a whole YouTube video on this, I said, she had less involvement creativity-wise once investors got involved. I think that damaged her creative direction on the brand. People who know her work can clearly see that in the products that were being released. However, that doesn't change the lack of understanding of the editorial world versus the online trend world I mentioned in my original comment. And that's not me defending the brand for letting people go and not paying, etc. But to say Pat McGrath is the one to be embarrassed when you put it in the context of her not releasing a face mask fast enough, it sounds uneducated in that area of expertise she is associated with. My comment is in context of a clip you provided, like everyone else's comments. And you actually had a lot of people quite high up in the industry comment on this with their outrage too. I think if you're going to make a point about something, you should put the context up quite clearly. But what they said to me in this message back, none of that context was in that clip. I'm not really sure what happened here, but it looks like my mic and my thing just completely cut off. So yes, anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. Please do give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, hang around. YouTube is going to recommend some videos to you, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.